Throughout history, safeguarding treasures has been both an art and a necessity. From the hidden vaults of ancient emperors to today's high-tech facilities, secure storage has always reflected our deep need for safety and preservation. Vaults have long played a crucial role in protecting the legacies of those who seek to preserve what is most precious. In today's world, where both tangible and digital assets hold unprecedented value, the demand for secure and sophisticated vaults is greater than ever. This brings us to the Reserve, a state-of-the-art facility designed not just as a vault, but a sanctuary for your most treasured assets. Built to the highest standards of security and discretion, the Reserve offers a safe haven for gold, silver, fine art, luxury watches, and more. It's a place where wealth isn't just stored, it's preserved, ensuring that your legacy endures. Today we're joined by Bruce Wagner, the managing director of the Reserve. With decades of experience in the luxury industry and roots in Switzerland, Bruce will guide us through what makes the Reserve a standout in the world of secure storage. Bruce is originally from Switzerland. He has more than 25 years of experience in luxury watch and jewelry industry. He's also the managing director of the Reserve in Singapore, which is one of the highest capacity vaults in the world. Bruce, can you tell us a little bit about your background? What is your story?
Yes, good morning. So yes, I was born in Geneva, Switzerland, from a medium-class family. And to give you more background, actually, my grandfather was in South Africa. He went there to look for gold. And instead of finding gold, quite funny, he found my grandmother. So that's why my father was born in Johannesburg, Africa. And then regarding my side, when I grew up in Geneva, Switzerland, it was in a small town in Meyrin. And then I took up an apprenticeship for watchmaking. And then I started in 97 when I was 16 years old. Then during these 4 years, you learn how to build your tools, to learn about watches. So you work a lot with metals as well to understand all the characteristics of different metal like gold, silver, stainless steel, etc. And after 4 years apprenticeship, I moved to New York. I have the opportunity to go and work there for like 6 months. Then I relocated to Miami. So I was there for 5 years, looking after the customer service over there. And after 5 years, I have another job offer. So in 2009, I moved to Singapore. I was the regional customer service manager for Shopper. So in total, I worked 22 years with them. I was setting up service center all over the region from Southeast Asia, Middle East, India. Then I started a new journey in 2020. So I start to be like the general manager for 10 different brands. And then we were doing distribution. So I was looking about the whole market. Middle of 2021, I met Gregor, the founder of Silver Bullion and the Reserve, all our group of company. And then they proposed me to join the Reserve project, which I was fascinated with whatever they were trying to build. At the same time, Gregor also proposed me to look after the watch workshop. So they have the watch workshop that was starting to be built. So I took on the role of the whole operation of the access, that's the name of it. And at the same time, I was the head of customer experience for the Reserve, based on my background. And after nearly 2 years of working closely with Gregor, understanding all his vision, his project with all our colleagues, and different services that we provide, I took on the role of managing director. So here I am today.
You've mentioned that you've completed an apprenticeship in watchmaking. I really don't understand the full intricacies of watchmaking, but I've always wondered, why do some watches cost so much? Like, some of the watches are equivalent of a cost of a house. What what do people are paying for? Is it the craftsmanship, the brand, or this illusion of exclusivity? Maybe all of the above, actually.
So yes, regarding the prices of watches, it could be different factor. So like you say, it can cost more than a house. So some watch could have a lot of diamond, which different carat, and that will make even more than 1 million, right? Some watch could be because of the historic behind, the complication that was made into the watch. Some watch can tell you when it's leap years, perpetual calendar. So you will have no even a diamond and it will be already 500,000. And other watches could be because some celebrity is wearing the watch and the watch end up to auction, or depending on the demand, the price will increase. So it's really many different factors that can make a watch very expensive.
Do you have a favorite watch? Or would you like to own some?
No, but then they have way too many models. But I will say in general, I do like and appreciate Audemars Piguet, like the Royal Oak. It's an easy model to wear. Rolex also is a very solid watch that you can wear every day.
We've talked about your past experience in watchmaking, and also we talked about a little bit about the reserve. Are there any touch points between managing luxury assets like watches and jewelry versus handling precious metals like gold and silver?
So the touching point, I will say the main one is when you handling watch, jewelry, or even bullion. Before you even work on a watch or store bullion, you have to make sure the item are genuine, like real item, like watch. They have so many different fake watch. So on that point, you have to authenticate the product. Whatever product you're working with, you have to make sure it's authentic. So for watches, for instance, you have to open the watch. You have to have a technician with very well-known knowledge of how to open, how to distinct between real and fake. And for bullion, we do in a different way because bullion is mainly always the same looks. But then you don't know what is inside, right? So basically, we have to do 5 different of non-destructive testing and make sure it's a real bullion or coins before we even store.
Is the authentication process quite complex for luxury watches?
For watch, yes, of course. It is few different steps. As I mentioned, you need to have like a graduate technician, either from school, could be from Switzerland, from different school around the world. And then you need to really know like when the watch is real or fake. And then we try to bring along the way whatever we use at Silver Bullion. So our safe house that store and check that the bullion is genuine. Those X-ray and everything we're going to bring on to the watches as well. So now it's not going to be just a watchmaker that open the watch and just by the look of it. We will also do some testing on the case of the watch, on the bracelet, to make sure it's really authentic.
We've talked about touch points between managing luxury assets like watches and jewelry versus handling precious metals like gold and silver. Why would a luxury watch collector decide to invest in gold and silver? Do you think they're looking for ways of diversifying their portfolio or a long-term investment or something else?
So I would say for a watch collector to have some gold or silver or precious metal, not all of them necessarily store gold. Some may know, but most of them, they are like more into watches. A watch collector will be very happy to wear a watch. You cannot wear a bullion or your coin on the wrist, right? Obviously, it's a different way of appreciate your precious, right? But they are touching point because you do collect some precious luxury item. So the goal is to educate both sides. So when we have event for watches or vice versa, then to collaborate and to explain.
We talked about your background. Let's talk about the reserve. Why were vaults created in the first place? Like, what is their main purpose?
Vault through history, we can clearly see that mainly created for security. When family or government, they really want to have some document, money, watch, art, anything that is precious being stored safe and insured. So that was the main goal. it will be very hard for you to have a be like what we have at the reserve, a 20-ton gold vault at home. You can have a safe, a small safe or a big safe, but in terms of insurance and protection, it won't be the same. So at the reserve, we can really give you the whole protection.
What is the most unique feature at the reserve compared to all the vaults around the world?
So the main feature, I will say we have few, but then for you to understand what is the most important one, I will present the reserve that we are owning the building, right? So, and thanks to that,
Are you saying that the building belongs to you?
Yes. So
Okay.
we purchased the building, not to me, but then to the to the company. So by having said that, all our group of company, and thanks to the safe house, the testing labs, the dealer for bullion, silver, our own software development, little bit. So all those group of company operate under the same roof, which is the reserve. And the most unique feature that set us apart from the industry of vaulting and storing is that we are vertical integrate.
What does that mean?
So vertical integrate, which means we can provide to our clients the certainty that all the gold, silver, they are stored into the Singapore law. So we make sure that every parcel that they store with us is genuine, is tested before, and at any time they can audit on demand physically, or they can also do a video call. Like during COVID, they also call us to make sure the parcel belong to them. So that means they are allocated to them.
Okay, how much physical gold and silver do you store at the reserve?
So today we are just below 5% of our capacity, which
Only
represent below 5%.
Below 5.
So that means we still can store 95% more, which represents today we have around 430 tons of silver, and we do have 6 tons of gold.
How is it possible that you can store so much?
So that actually thanks to a very unique feature of the reserve, our main floor load is 90 kilonewton. A car park will be 2 kilonewton. So we can store 45 times heavier than a car park.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
We are in Singapore. Why do you think a lot of people think this is like an ideal, perfect location for wealth storage?
So why
compared
Singapore?
to other financial hubs? Like you're from Switzerland.
So Singapore, long time being called the little Switzerland of Asia, for few reasons. First, it's very safe. It's been one of the safest country on earth. We have a very low crime. We have a very strong financial institution, which are based in Singapore. Most of the big company, family office, banks, they decide to be the head office in Singapore. And if you look at the unemployment rate, it's pretty low, below 2%. Even the GDP keep growing up. So definitely a country that client and in general office family will really trust. So when you decide to store at the reserve, it match our vision of trust and transparency to be in Singapore.
Can you explain a little bit about P2P loans?
So our P2P loan are done via our sister company, which called Silver Bullion, and that allow clients to take a loan or to even lend money. So that means if you own bullion and then you store to the reserve, you have collateral with us. So a lender could lend money to the client that store with us, and they can decide within each other at the percentage rate per annum how much percentage they want to loan or borrow money.
So basically, the main advantage is that the P2P loan is backed by a physical asset like gold or silver.
Exactly. So that gives the security for the lender.
Okay. Does a P2P loan also apply to luxury watches and art?
Yeah, actually, for the past 2 years, we provide the service with watches. So the watch workshop, as I mentioned, is still in town in Singapore, and will be relocated to the reserve. And thanks to that, we can authenticate, we evaluate, and then we give you up to 70% of the value of the watch in the current market. And thanks to this, we will store to the perpetual vault at the reserve, which we have nearly 3,000 watch winder into a room. And again, is to a tax-free zone. So the client will then decide from silver bullion to lend money to a watch owner, collector, etc. So they can have some cash flow to invest in different, maybe gold, maybe cryptocurrency, or whatever they wish to. And the watch remain client property under the reserve, store securely and tested.
When I think about vaults, I always have this this series called Money Heist.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know it.
Yeah, I've seen.
I think the plot is pretty straightforward. Do you think if the heist, as well coordinated as in Money Heist, happens to the reserve, do you think they will be successful?
So we say never, right? So for them to do that, they will have to go through multiple layers of security that we have. So we have 500 CCTV camera at the reserve. We are operating very near to the Changi airport. So it's an airspace restricted, very secure. We do have two auxiliary police officer. Singapore police officer operate 24/7. And then on top of that, we have our own system of security that we have built with sensor motion and everything. So let's say you are lucky enough to enter to the reserve, then it will be difficult to get out. And then for you to do a heist into the reserve, we make it even more difficult to grab our bullion, our silver, with the way we store. As I mentioned, we can stack bullion into our pallet up to 12 meter high, and each pallet is 500 kg. So that will be very difficult to even put down one pallet. So I can just say good luck for people who want to do a heist with us.
Thank you. Okay, so vaults always symbolized a family's legacy, and to me, they've always been more than just a storage space. How does the reserve sort of sustain and help the clients to build generational wealth?
So what we're doing now, we are working with wealth management, with trustee, and then we are designing a program that on top of just buying, storing your gold, and for next generation and so on, when you can have a common account. So that will help us to give an extra layer of security for the next generation, for the children, grandchildren. So we will create some kind of like will and trust, so client can really design what fit the best for them.
I understand that your clients are focused heavily on wealth preservation, and how do you explain to them that during periods of high inflation, physical gold and silver will always act like a strong safeguard?
So through historic, gold never really crash. If you look since ancient time, right? It always acts as an edge of currency, as a method of payment. And if we try to look earlier for the younger generation, in 2008, the financial crisis, gold have tendency to really took on some value, right? So the price increase in even during COVID, right, in 2020, when COVID struck, sadly, we have a high demand from our clients to buy even more or to even store more. So we have a huge demand that came to our vault operator, and
probably during pandemic, especially.
Yeah, during COVID. So we were getting full. So that was the main reason we decided to purchase the reserve, so we can control and operate our own storage, which now we can store a lot more.
When I visited the reserve, I clearly remember you have a lot of safe deposit boxes.
Yeah.
So do majority of vaults have them, or it's like a special
I would say
case?
some of them do have safe deposit box or banks. But with us, because we have a lot of space at the reserve, so we really integrate all the services that make sense. And then we have 12,500 safe deposit box on our level 4, which have 6 different sizes to accommodate clients based on what they want to store. We do have over 300 safe deposit box for heavy duty. You want to make sure that your precious is well stored, depending on what it is. And then on our 60-ton UL Class 2 vault, we have 3,000 safe deposit box, mainly for gold.
You mentioned that there are 6 different sizes of safe deposit boxes. What do your clients usually store inside? Is it documents or jewelry?
Yeah, it can go from document, passport, jewelry, watches, whatever is important and precious to them. You have no restriction as long you declare what it is when you want to be insured.
I love rare art and, of course, luxury watches. Why the Reserve is the top choice?
I will say it's also thanks to our vertical integration, because it's like a whole ecosystem under the Reserve. We have the watch workshop that repair, authenticate, evaluate the price of your watch. We do have our company that also authenticate and store bullion, make sure it's genuine. And then for art, we are coming with the storage in the future, so we will be able to even do auction probably. So everything is under the same roof. So when a client wants to sell his watch or sell his bullion, we can operate everything from A to Z, which is not the same standard with other company. So that put us very, very apart. And then we coming with a new standard in the industry.
Bruce, 5 years from now, imagine the Reserve expanded its services globally. What do you think will be the most popular services?
So I have to say, obviously, we want to continue. Our core business is to store, to provide P2P, right? Today we do nearly 200 million of P2P loan a year. But mainly we want to continue to educate and give more knowledge for the younger generation, how important it is to save and to purchase and store gold, silver, whatever can protect you during those bad period, those time of inflation, stagflation, whatever we are living today. Like you and I, we can see the world is changing to a different direction. So we are here to really protect clients, families, wealth on next generation. And then for that, we are developing a special membership at the Reserve. So that will connect all the high network individual, CEO, collector. And then we want to really put together the same vision of the future that I mentioned earlier. And then we're going to develop a coin as well, which I showed you earlier, which will really link together all the same kind of visioner that really want to have a better future for next generation and so on. So all this will represent it to the coin, really our trust and transparency that we have at the Reserve.
So can everyone get this coin? How does it look like?
So you won't be able to buy the coins. So that coin will be strictly for, as I mentioned, people who understand our vision, and that will reflect whatever trust and really security and transparency that we have into the Reserve. And we will be able to host very private and exclusive event, which you probably can see even more about that coin in episode 2.
Sure. Bruce, thank you for explaining why the Reserve stands out among all the vaults around the world. Hopefully I will see you again.
Sure. And thank you very much, Tota, for having me today.